Love does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes quietly, disguised as warmth, routine, and the simple comfort of being needed. Satou Matsuzaka believed that, for most of her life, Satou had watched love from a distance, like a language she could imitate but never truly understand. She smiled when she was supposed to smile. She laughed when others laughed. She dated because that was what girls her age did. But every relationship felt hollow, like wearing clothes that fit perfectly but never warmed her skin. She felt nothing, not joy, not longing, not heartbreak, until the day she met Shio. Shio was small, fragile, and frightened when Satou found her wandering alone one night. A child with no place to go. A child whose eyes reflected fear so raw, it pierced straight through Satou's carefully constructed normalcy. In that moment, something inside Satou awakened. It was not attraction, it was not desire, it was certainty. This, Satou thought, holding Shio's trembling hand, is love. For the first time in her life, Satou felt complete. The emptiness she had carried for years vanished, replaced by a sweetness so overwhelming it made her chest ache. She took Shio home, tucked her into bed, and promised herself that nothing would ever harm this fragile happiness. She named it her happy sugar life. Satou built their world carefully. Every morning, she prepared breakfast. Every evening, she returned home early, smiling brightly, humming softly, as if her life had finally aligned. To anyone watching, she looked like a perfect high school girl, kind, responsible, cheerful. No one saw the rules she made in her mind. Love must be protected. Love must be preserved. Anything that threatens love must be removed. Shio was the center of everything now. Satou watched her sleep at night, counting each breath, memorizing the rise and fall of her chest. She told herself it was normal. Parents worried like this. Guardians cared like this. But Satou was not Shio's parent. She was something else entirely. Shio depended on her for everything: food, shelter, safety. And Satou reveled in that dependence. It reassured her, anchored her. As long as Shio needed her, Satou's love could never disappear. But love, when built on fear of loss, does not stay gentle for long. Satou's classmates noticed changes. She stopped lingering after school. She refused invitations. She declined relationships with polite smiles that never reached her eyes. Boys still confessed to her, drawn to her beauty and warmth, but Satou rejected them all. Romantic love was unnecessary. She already had everything she needed. One boy, Taiyu Mitsuboshi, refused to accept that answer. He followed her, watched her, his affection twisted into obsession, and Satou recognized something familiar in him. Fear. Fear of being alone. That frightened her. If someone like Taiyu discovered Shio, he would threaten Satou's perfect world, and Satou could not allow that. She manipulated him gently, at first kind words, reassuring smiles, until his obsession deepened into madness. When he became dangerous, she acted decisively. Love must be protected, even if someone had to be broken to preserve it. Satou did not feel guilt. She felt relief. Meanwhile, Shio grew closer to her. She laughed more. She smiled without fear. She clung to Satou's hand when they walked together, calling her name with innocent affection. Each time Shio said, "I love you," Satou's heart sordan tightened, because Shio was growing, and growth meant change. Change meant risk. Satou began to fear the world beyond their apartment. School, friends, adulthood, any future where Shio might not need her. She told herself she was protecting Shio from danger, but deep down she was protecting herself from abandonment. Her love was no longer just sweet. It was desperate. Satou started lying to teachers, to classmates, to strangers. She smiled as she fabricated stories, her voice calm and convincing. Lies came easily when they were wrapped in love. At night, she whispered promises to Shio as she slept. "I'll never let anyone take you away. I'll protect you forever. You don't need anyone else." Shio listened. She believed, but even children sense when love becomes heavy. Shio noticed Satou's grip tightening, her smiles lingering too long. The way Satou's eyes darkened whenever someone else spoke to her. Shio felt safe but also trapped, though she did not yet have the words to name it. The apartment became their entire universe, and universes built too small eventually collapse. Satazanta, a woman twisted by her own trauma and desires, represented the outside world's cruelty. She knew too much. She had already crossed lines that should never be crossed. When she returned, threatening Satou's happiness, Satou did not hesitate. Love must be protected, even from blood. When Satou pushed her aunt from the apartment building, she did not scream. She did not cry. She watched calmly as the threat disappeared below, her face expressionless. What mattered was Shio. Everything else was disposable. That night, Satou held Shio closer than ever, rocking her gently as if nothing had changed. She told herself she had done the right thing, that this was what love demanded, but something had shifted. Satou no longer protected love, she served it. And love, when worshipped blindly, becomes a god that demands sacrifice. Shio sensed it now, the weight in Satou's embrace, the unspoken terror beneath her affection. Still, she said nothing, because Satou was all she had. And Satou knew it. That knowledge thrilled her and terrified her, because deep down, Satou understood a truth she refused to face. If Shio ever tried to leave, if Shio ever stopped loving her, there would be nothing left. And Satou Matsuzaka would destroy the world before allowing that emptiness to return. Love does not collapse all at once. It rots quietly, sweet on the surface, poisoned at the core. By the time Satou realized something was wrong, she no longer knew how to imagine a life without Shio. Every morning, Satou woke before the sun, careful not to disturb the girl sleeping beside her. She watched Shio's face in the dim light, memorizing it as if afraid it might disappear. The rise of her chest reassured her. The warmth beneath the blanket anchored her to reality. As long as Shio was there, everything was fine. That was the rule. Satou lived by now, but Shio was changing. She asked questions Satou did not like, about school, about other children, about why she could never go outside alone. Each question felt like a crack forming in Satou's perfect world. Satou answered gently, always gently, wrapping restrictions in kindness. "The world is dangerous. You don't need anyone else. I'll always take care of you." She smiled when she said it. That smile hid fear sharp enough to draw blood. Satou's life outside the apartment began unraveling. Lies stacked upon lies. Her teacher suspected something. Classmates whispered. A friend grew concerned. Every interaction felt like an intrusion, another hand reaching toward Shio. Satou began to see enemies everywhere. Anyone who noticed her happiness noticed too much. When a co-worker at her part-time job confessed affection, Satou felt nothing but irritation. His presence threatened her schedule, her secrecy, her devotion. When he followed her home, curiosity turning to obsession, Satou's patience snapped. She invited him inside. Love must be protected. The apartment that once felt warm became something else entirely. The air felt heavy, claustrophobic. Shio watched from the bedroom doorway as Satou spoke calmly, sweetly, while preparing tea. Satou had become very good at pretending everything was normal. When the man realized too late that something was wrong, Satou did not hesitate. The knife felt natural in her hand, necessary. Her movements were precise, almost tender. She cleaned the blood carefully afterward. Shio saw everything, and yet she said nothing. Because love, even when it hurts, can feel safer than loneliness. Satou noticed Shio's silence, mistook it for understanding, for loyalty. She hugged Shio tighter that night, whispering reassurance, unaware that fear had begun to replace trust. Shio started dreaming of escape, not because she hated Satou but because love had begun to suffocate her. Meanwhile, Satou's past refused to stay buried. Her brother, damaged by the same warped understanding of love that shaped her, returned. He recognized what Satou was becoming because he saw himself reflected in her eyes. He warned her, "This isn't love," he said. Satou smiled. He was wrong. Everyone who challenged her understanding of love was wrong. Love meant never being alone again. Love meant possession. Love meant permanence. If the world refused to accept that, then the world was the problem. Satou's final illusion shattered when Shio disappeared. For the first time since they met, Shio was gone. The apartment felt hollow, silent, dead. Satou's heart screamed. She searched frantically, tearing through the city with a desperation bordering on insanity. Every second without Shio felt like suffocation. Every stranger looked like a threat. Every shadow felt like betrayal. When she finally found Shio, standing trembling in the presence of another adult who promised safety, something inside Satou broke completely. That person was a liar. Only Satou loved Shio enough to protect her. Satou acted without hesitation. When she pulled Shio into her arms afterward, her hands shook not with guilt, but with relief. Shio cried silently against her chest, tears soaking into Satou's clothes. Satou whispered apologies. She didn't mean, "I did this for us. I did this because I love you." But Shio no longer heard comfort in those words. She heard chains. Shio began to understand the truth Satou could not face. Satou did not love her as a person. She loved her as a feeling, a cure for emptiness, a proof of existence. And feelings, once threatened, become violent. The final night came quietly. The apartment was burning. Flames crept up the walls, devouring the world Satou had built. Smoke filled the air as sirens wailed in the distance. Satou held Shio tightly, refusing to let go, even as heat scorched her skin. If they could not be happy here, then they would be happy nowhere. Satou smiled through tears, convinced until the very end that love meant staying together even if it meant dying together. But Shio, finally understanding the cost of that love, made her choice. She pushed Satou away. For the first time, Satou felt it loss. Real loss. As Satou felt flames reflecting in her wide eyes, realization struck too late. Love was never supposed to hurt like this. It was never supposed to destroy everything it touched. As the fire consumed the apartment, Satou reached out not in obsession now, but in regret. Shio survived, Satou did not. Years later, Shio would remember her with conflicting emotions. Gratitude, fear, sadness, a twisted kind of affection that never fully faded. Because love, once learned in the wrong shape, never disappears completely. Satou Matsuzaka believed love was sweetness, but sweetness, when preserved too tightly, ferments, and what begins as sugar ends as poison.